forgot. Oh wait, hold on. Wait, I need to hold on. I need to like lower the volume of the music for a moment. And then I need to also open something. So forgive me since I'm just gonna put you all on here and stop opening Minecraft. What the fuck? Anyways, where is no? Here it is. I'm gonna close the other thing because I don't want you all seeing that. We're gonna have to use my browser today. First time for me using my browser for like any sort of thing on stream. A little weird, but whatever. This is just kind of a silly stream, so I will probably honestly be talking to myself a lot, which is whatever. I don't care, you know me. But today, hold on, let me turn this down. Today, I wanted to do a little something that I always really like doing, and that's talking about my favorite things that I like. That is not the correct thing. Will this please capture the correct window? Okay, we're gonna need a minute to capture this. So originally, okay, here we go. Oh, it's over top of me. Originally, this was going to be, oh my god, I was gonna stream Clash Royale before I did this. But I couldn't get the capture card to work. I'm still working on that, so hey, I still might stream Clash Royale soon. But what we're gonna be doing today is I'm going to go over every single card in the game, except for, these limited time ones, like the Barbed Mortar, Party Rocket, Party Hut, all of the, like, super troops. I'm not going to go over those because I wasn't around when the event occurred that they were in, and I haven't touched them. Although, all of these other cards, except for the heal spell, I have definitely used or gone against at least once or twice. Except maybe a couple of the champions, but I've definitely gone against a couple of the champions. What am I rating this off of? Well, as you can see, I've got 5 tiers here. S through D are normal tiers. D, it sucks. It's bad. It can't really be fixed, honestly. C is it's just kind of mid, you know, you might use it in, early game, but then as you get to kind of mid-ladder, late ladder, it's not very good. It's not very good. B tier, it's an okay card, you know. Mid-ladder menaces go here, you know? The cards that you get stuck with in mid-ladder and then never really use again. And of course, that doesn't mean they're all bad. I think some mid-ladder menaces could definitely get to the upper top ladder. If you're wondering for ladder what I mean, Trophy Road. Trophies, you get trophies every time you win, your rating goes up. It's pretty epic. Good cards in A tier. Basically just any card that is decent. It could be your workhorse, like stuff like the log, or stuff that's good in like any deck, really. Just bang good cards. Great cards, just the best of the best. Stuff that hasn't gone out of style. Ugh, excuse me. Hasn't really, you know, lost its usage rating. And then we have F tier. So F tier is a lot different. You know how sometimes when you get into a game, you activate cheats for a couple minutes and you run around for a while, blowing everything up and having a lot of fun, but then after 10 minutes, it gets really boring because you're just winning everything. I'm just doing this stream to dismiss. Okay, no. I do have genuine opinions on the other cards, but we'll get to Mega Knight when we get to Mega Knight, okay? And I do have my reasons for doing this because I do want to stream Clash Royale eventually. Basically, if a card is too good, and I think it's way overdue for like a rework or a nerf, in my opinion, which by the way, this stream is my opinions, it goes here. Meaning, like, basically, too good to use against your opponent and horrible to fight against for this. So I guess I'll just get started. Archer Queen. Oh, boy. Oh, what a divisive start. Not really a big fan of the champion rarity, I'm not gonna lie. I like the concept, and I can see why they needed a different rarity for it. You know, I'm not a big fan of it on the leveling up the champions kind of thing, but at least they don't limit you. I don't think they limit you. Are you limited to one champion per deck? I don't know. I've never tried a multi-champion deck. So I think you're limited to one, because I don't think I've ever gone up against multiple. Archer Queen, she's okay. I mean, her ability is for 1 elixir, she goes cloaked, shoots faster, and deals more damage. As it shows in like the little card art, she could fully counter a P.E.K.K.A. with this positive elixir trade. She's really good if you lock her onto the tower and then use her ability, because then stuff can't get her and she gets a good few shots off. But her lack of health and the fact that she's near fireballable referring to the fact that fireball can one-shot her, it kind of, she's balanced. You know, she can be good if you use her. I know I've seen some decks where she gets used with Electro Giant, but other than that, she's okay. She's alright. The cards are in alphabetical order, by the way. I couldn't really change that, so womp womp. Archers, I think the evolutions are separate, right? Because I have different opinions on the evolution. It sucks. They suck. You're not really gonna catch these guys, like, being played in any top ladder. They get logged, you can arrows them, you can fireball them. They get countered by, like, most cards in the book. They're meant to be for the early ladder, so, and it feels like they're also just kind of in the game to be in the game. I think if it would be a better card if it summoned more of them, because, like, it's just 2 archers. It's not the craziest thing in the world. It's just 2 little archers. They deal like little chip damage. I think if the card was 3 or even 4, it would be better. 3 maybe fits better for like 2 elixir that they are. I think they're 2. They're either 2 or 3. I can't remember, but that would fit better. But at the elixir they're at, and as little as they can do, it's just not good. Arrows, I'm divisive between A or B, but I think I have to go B. Large range, decent damage, great for dealing with swarms. Problem is the large range is kind of all the arrows have going for it. It's fast, sure, it'll definitely hit your target, but the speed and the damage as well as the range can just be outclassed. It's a bang average card, don't get me wrong. You know, it's decent, but it's not something, you know, you're gonna catch me using. It's not my thing, you know. It's a matter of taste, if you will. Baby Dragon is kind of outclassed in the newer meta. Baby Dragons is a good card. It's a very good card. It's just kind of outclassed by other options. I think it is a card that exists. It's existed in the earlier days. I remember when it used to be mega gigabusted. It's got good splash damage. It deals just good damage in general, even with the splash. It's just kind of fallen out of style. It's just kind of, you know, it's just not really got much going for it in the modern meta. And I like the card, don't get me wrong. He made it into Clash of Clans, too. I don't use him ever, because he's a weird mechanic in Clash of Clans. But, yeah, you know, I think honestly, decent card. Balloon. Part of me wants to put Balloon in F, right? Because Rage Balloon is time-old tradition, right? But the other part of me recognizes that that's a skill issue with my deck. I have my own personal deck that I'll share whenever I get to streaming Clash Royale. Balloon is great, especially with Rage. Even without Rage, though, it's got good health. It could do great damage to towers and other buildings. It has a death bomb that goes off, so you can clear any swarms that might be coming around under it to counter your bigger troops or a swarm coming at you. Just a good card. I'm horrible playing against it, but a good card. Bandit, immediate S tier. Immediate S tier. I'm not even, I don't need to justify myself. 3 elixir, decent health, dash ability. She's invincible while she's in the dash. The dash can deal upwards of 500, I think the card level I have her at now is 13. So she does like 700 damage per dash, which has like a very minimal cooldown. She can dash into one thing, and so long as she kills it, She can dash into another thing. She's got a great damage, like, with her basic attack. Granted, you want her to be dashing. But other than that, just a good card. Lower health is really the only bad thing Bandit has going for it. It's just a good card. Barbarian Barrel. It's just kind of here. It feels like they just added this to be a different alternative to the log. It has less range, less damage, less knockback. It costs the same elixir, which, I mean, sure, you get a free barbarian out of it, but what is that little fucker gonna do, right? He's not really good without, just on his own. It's just not, it's not, I don't want to put it in D tier, right? Because a log is a log. You could put it in with another log and have it do decent. It has its uses. Positive elixir trade against some ground swarms is good. It is good. But it's just kind of outclassed. It's just not really, it's not really that good. There's not much more to say about it. It's just kind of there. It's not really that good. Barb Hut, get the fuck out. Fuck you, Barb Hut. 6 elixir. I think it got buffed recently to spawn 3 barbarians, but even then, like, it can be fireballed, so you get less barbarians out of it. The barbarians themselves, even if they're placed at the bridge, are slow as hell. So if you play it safe with the Barb Hut, you put it in the back, and then, like, okay, the barbarians are gonna go forward and get hit by a log, get hit by all the other shit coming from your opponent. It's just, it used to be good, right? In the earlier meta, where people would make spawner decks. It's just kind of ass now. This is not that good. It's kind of there. It's from the old days. It's just a dead card. Barbarians. They're gonna go right next to their barrel. 5 elixir for the barbarians. Like, they're not that good. The barbarians don't even deal that much damage, and they are just not that good at dealing with swarms. They have low attack speed. Tanks can usually one-shot them, and there's only 5, so it wouldn't take a tank very long to, like, one-shot all of them. I've never found myself using barbarians. Like, I've never found myself using them in, like, ever. Now, their evolution, on the other hand, I'm gonna bump up another tier. Their evolution is after, I think you cycle them once or twice. I can't remember. I think it's once. They get a special ability where the longer they attack something, the more attack speed they get, which is very good, but you have to remember they don't have anything else. That ability is it. Their damage isn't changed. I don't think it is. I haven't. I only have one evolution, which is her. We're gonna get to her. But I've played against them. They can't get to the tower, man. You just throw a log at them, you stun them, and their hit damage is reset. Zombie's the best streamer to watch while robbing a family of. Okay then, all right then. You know, they're just regular barbarians. If you can get them on the tower, they will go nuts. They will go ham. But you can just chuck a fireball at them, and it's not really anything to worry about. Bats, I'm very torn on bats, but they're gonna go in B tier. I'm not arranging these in any order of the tier. They're just in the tier, by the way, because I don't like rearranging stuff all the time. Bats are 2 elixir, and they're an air swarm. That's really all I have to say about them. They get one shot by basically everything, but they can be good for countering stuff that can't attack the air, like barbarians. Bandit, they're a good counter for. They're a good counter for basically anything that's in the air and can't fight back, or anything that's in the air or anything that's on the ground and can't attack air. They're decent though. Battle healer. She's kind of mid. You know what? No, she's not horrible, right? She was created as a replacement to... She was created as one of the replacements to the heal spell, which I'm not going to rank because I never played with it. I just know it was busted. She was made as, like, one of the replacements, and she's alright. She's a decent mini tank, and she heals everything around her whenever she attacks. She has some good combos, but she's just not got that much health. Plenty of things counter her. You get her up against a swarm, and then she's just like, oh, what? And then she can't do anything. She's okay. You're gonna find that I probably am gonna be putting a lot of cards into, like, these two tiers. Very few will go up here and down here. These two tiers are kind of where most of the cards are at, which, if you think about it, is kind of where you'd want most of the cards to be at if you were Supercell. It's better to have a large set of average cards that can work together to do well than it is to have cards that are better than others. Yeah, she's alright, though. She's got some good combos. She can keep your push going for longer. She's alright. Battering Ram is kind of mid. A lot of Barbarian cards are honestly just kind of mid. It's a big Battering Ram that runs at a building or tower that when it hits, it deals a bunch of damage and spawns 2 Barbarians. It's great if it can get to the Princess Tower, because swarms will slow it down, zapping it will slow it down. It has a charge mechanic. Oh, we got caught while robbing a family of 4 known spending 10 years in the joint. Well, maybe you just shouldn't have done that, you know? How'd you get a phone in there, by the way? Anyways, it has a charge mechanic similar to the Prince, so it has to have some run-up before it actually starts battering, which gives it a very wide opening to get swarmed and countered. It's just kind of mid. Same thing as Bomber. It used to be good. It's better in the early you know what? No, you're going down there. It's not that good. It throws a bomb, it deals decent damage, good for clearing swarms. It's only 2 elixir. I just simply got a phone. Okay. It's 2 elixir, but I mean, that's all it's got going for it. You get killed by a couple of archers. It can't even one-shot some of the, like, beefier swarm things. And same goes for the bomb tower. The bomb tower is, like, slightly better than the bomber, but that's just because it's a building and it can redirect building targeting troops. But other than that, it's just not that good. It drops a little bomb when it's dead, but, like, it's a building. I mean, not that great. Bowler, on the other hand, is going into A. And kill me if you must. Kill me if you must. Bowler is a good swarm clearer. He has good knockback with the bowling ball, so bigger stuff gets knocked back by him. His bowling ball deals decent damage, and if you place him behind a tower, he can completely counter a graveyard while also accounting for troops that are coming at your tower already while the graveyard is going off. Just a good card. Good card. He's not bang average. He's a good card, and I will fight you on that. I broke out some simply constructed alternative. Okay. Honestly, both of the cannons are going in kind of mid. Cannon Cart is 5 elixir, and while it has decent damage, its health is just not that great. Actually, no. I'm gonna bump Cannon up one. Cannon Cart, go fuck off. It's an epic. Who cares? It's not that good. Cannon, though, is a good 3 elixir building that can distract your opponent's building targeter. Like, I play an Electro Giant deck. I often get countered by the cannon because it is such a cheap building to have the Electro Giant retarget to. There are better buildings, don't get me wrong. There are better ones. But cannon is just a good, cheaper alternative if you don't want to spend all that elixir. Clone. Hear me out. Hear me out, okay? You can double any card in the game, and sure, it has 1 health. It has 1 health. But you can double any card in the game. You got a miner on the tower, now you have 2 of them. You got a graveyard with a bunch of skeletons on the tower, now you have a bunch more of them. You got a bunch of fuck-ass, you got an archer queen? Now you've got 2 of them. You got a baby dragon. Now you got 2 of them. You got a balloon on the feet. Now you got 2 of them. The list of combos goes on, and I think it doesn't get used much because you do have to sacrifice a card slot for it, which is kind of the same problem with the mirror. But it is good. It is good if you know how to use it. I used to be a clone fiend back when there weren't cards that like would uber counter it, and even then I still got uber countered by like arrows and zaps and whatnot. But if you got something on the tower, drop a clone on it and it goes down faster. It's good. Granted, it does stun the troop getting cloned for a bit, which can be bad, and also could let a wizard take it out. It is good. It is good. I will defend clone, okay? It is a good card. Just like Dark Prince. Dark Prince as well, he's getting up there. Great swarm, a great anti-swarm. He's only 4 elixir, and he has a charge mechanic similar to the actual Prince. Just a good card. Good to place, good to help clear out swarms and deal good damage to the tower. I mained the hell out of Dark Prince when back in the day. I used to have this deck. It was full of anti-swarms, and that motherfucker was right on the top of my entire anti-swarm deck. He's just... The only thing that is bad about him is his lesser health, but he is only 4 elixir, so it kind of balances out. Sticking to the, like, really good cards, by the way, Dart Goblin. Super fast fire rate. He's got tons of damage. I think he deals upward of 400 per shot, and he fires a lot of shots. Low health, which is understandable, but you put him behind a tank, and the opponent will mistakenly go for the tank and forget about your little Dart Goblin as you watch his tower health just... boom, gone. Because this little fucker, stronger than any stupid Inferno Dragon that's gotta sit on the tower, because he can just dish out shots like crazy. For air targets, for big air targets, drop him and it's gone in an instant. He's nuts. I love him. And now we're back to the mid cards with Earthquake. It's Earthquake. It deals bonus damage to buildings. You really don't use it to counter anything other than, like, maybe Graveyard. No, you know what? It's going in, it sucks. You could get rid of a building with it, yes, but there's a much more popular building choice than most of the other ones that I'm going to be putting in a higher tier that is, like, that completely counters the fucking thing. And unless you get the building out, the Tesla, I'm talking about the Tesla, by the way, unless you get it out, which is already screwing up your plans, you really want to drop 3 elixir to kill it quicker rather than, like, let a building targeter go for it. It's just... fuck you, I hate you. Back at it again with the mid cards. Electro Dragons, it's got low health, a really slow attack time. For a stunning attack that doesn't do all that much damage. It's a stunning attack, granted, but, like, when you stun stuff, you usually don't... When you're stunning stuff in Clash Royale, you don't want to stun it like a million times, right? That's why the zap exists. You want to stun them once to get them to change their target, and then have them move on, you know? Retarget them to a building, retarget them to another troop, stop an Inferno Tower. That's what you zap for. You don't zap continuously on one unit it slows it down, sure, but you don't usually do that. He's good for that, but you don't usually end up doing that, you know? I mean, you zap an Inferno Tower to let your Giant get close to beat it up, or you zap an Inferno Dragon to let your Dark Goblin finish it off as it's targeting the tower. You know? It's just... you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put the Electro Spirit here in the same vein. Like, I played for the Electro Spirit when he came out. He was just kind of bad when he was in the fucking, when he was in the challenge. He's just kind of not good. They're both just, like, they're both great for stunning, and Electro Spirit's better for stunning large swarms for 1 elixir. You just don't need that. Unless it's, like, over a longer period of time, you just don't need all of those zappings and stunnings, you know? And I know this is completely hypocritical, but Electro Giant's going in top tier. Electro Giant's 7 elixir. He's got a little ring around him, where if something attacks him in that ring, it zaps him. Or it zaps them for a good amount of damage. Swarms cannot target this thing. Buildings can attack this thing really slowly, even though his punch isn't like the best, but attacks him really slowly. And towers just get destroyed by this thing because they're constantly targeting him, and if they don't target him, it's getting punched by him, where other things can't come in and attack him. Anything really just attacks this thing slower, except for maybe Firecracker, but she's a special case. The only problem is, and I will admit his counters, anything that deals like a ton of damage in one strike rather than dealing a little bit of damage with a bunch of guys destroys him. Mini P.E.K.K.A, regular P.E.K.K.A, elite barbarians, they deal good damage to him and can whittle him down. That's not to say they won't get stunned in the process, but they can counter him very quickly. He's very antithetical to what most Clash players think. When they see a big thing, they're like, I throw a swarm at it. But with him, you've got to throw your big damage dealer at it so that it can take it out. Very interesting. I like the way it switches up the meta, and it's also just a good card. It's just good. People have said it sucks in recent years, but I think he's just good. And now, for the first card that I'm going to put in too good and needs a nerf is Electro Wizard. Spawn damage with 2 separate beams that can stun 2 separate targets, and each beam deals 100 damage each. Did I mention he's 4 elixir? Can counter an entire swarm, can completely deny you of any attacker that's an Inferno. He's a bit busted. He's a bit crazy. And sure, oh, you could counter him. Let me go look this up. I'm gonna go look this up real quick. I'm gonna look this up on my phone, how many times he's been balance changed. And if he was worse in the past, I will revoke this. But hold on, Electro Wizard balance change history. I guarantee you, I'm not gonna find anything. I won't find a thing that's happened to him. Let's see. Where is this balance stuff? Okay, this is not balance. This is card stats. Okay, I don't care. Balance update. His spawn damage was decreased by 9% and increased his hit points by 9%. Okay. Let's see. Remove the Electro Wizard's ability to permanently stun enemy troops. All right, that was enough to convince me. He's a good card. I still think he's a little busted. But I didn't know he could permanently stun troops. That was complete game changer. Didn't know he could do that before. I'm glad he's in the state he's in. I retract my statement, Supercell. And in that vein, E-Barbs. We're gonna talk about E-Barbs. They have a tumultuous history with Clash Royale. In the state they're in, they are counterable and they're okay. E-Barb's Rage is still something you have to watch out for, but now they've got health comparable to a regular barbarian, and their health and their attack speed isn't uber crazy anymore. So you can counter them. A Valkyrie can counter them now. Skarmy can counter them. Goblins can counter them. They're counterable, and they're a good card. They deal good damage, and if you can get them onto the tower, they can go nuts. Got a big tanky thing like the Electro Giant, you can drop them on him and they kill him. But they're not. I wouldn't put them in S. In the uber nerfed way they are now, I don't see them really excelling. But Elixir Pump, that's going in B. You get 1 elixir, I think, every, I think it's 10 seconds, and it's 5, I think it's 5 or 6 elixir. I think it's 6. It doesn't pay for itself half the time. It's decent. It can help you make some pushes, but It's just, you know, it's decent. It used to be really good. Now it's just kind of there. With all the response spells that you can throw at it, it's just not, it's not all that anymore. It's okay, though. Shut the fuck up. If anybody's watching in the future and wants context, when you kill this thing, if your opponent drops this thing and you kill the elixir golem, you get elixir. It's 3 elixir. But why would you use this? No, really. Why would you use this? The only way I could see this being good is if you're overwhelming your opponent and you need, like, a golem-like creature. But, and this is shocking, if you're overwhelming an opponent, you probably have the elixir to play a golem to do that. It's not good. It gives your opponent way too much of an advantage. I think if they wanted to rework it, I think it should split the elixir amounts it gives in half to both people. I think both people should be able to benefit from this, so it's a risk reward. You drop the thing to try to get it to get to the tower. I just want to help my enemies sometimes. Okay, you want to help your enemy sometimes and get, like, nothing in return. You lose 3 elixir and force him to play a card that wouldn't even matter. Like, baiting out a skeleton army or something. It's just... I think if it gave both people the elixir for the risk reward, it would be good. But... fuck you, Elixir Golem. I hate you. Executioner. He's going in B. Throws his axe. It goes once and twice back around. Great for dealing with swarms and some more tankier units. He can attack air as well, which is very good. But his damage isn't, like, comparable to, like, the Dark Goblin or anything. So he's a good air swarm clearer, and he's a good swarm clearer. But he's just, you know, he's bang average. I mean, he's a guy that exists, and he's 5 elixir, which is, like, a lot for an anti-swarm. There are cheaper options than him. Looking at, like, one right here that's not even that good. Another one right up here that's far better. You know, it's just... And he also doesn't have, like, much of a counter push option. He's not like a defensive card you can drop and then have go to the tower like the Dark Prince is or the E-Giant. He's just not that good. Fireball, A tier. A tier. Can kill most things in the game in one go, and if it doesn't kill them, it usually gets them to low enough health to where they can't make it to the tower. 4 elixir, which is very good, and deals good crown tower damage. Just... there's not much more to say. It's been in the game for a while. Just a good card. Firecracker and her evolution. Regular Firecracker, B tier. Great anti-swarm, can target air, and a good air swarm clearer. But, I mean, like, it's not good for much else. Like, she deals decent damage to a tower, but, uh-oh, here comes a log, and she's dead. Or, uh-oh, here comes Royal Delivery, and she's dead. Whoopsie-daisy, a single rogue troop got to, and she's dead. The evolution. This is one I'm putting in too good and needs a nerf. Because, oh my god, why did they think this was a good idea? I would have been fine if they, like, made the radius wider. But no, she leaves lingering little pools of firecracker, I don't know, gunpowder. And she just leaves these little pools, and if anything steps in them, it's damage. You had a swarm coming in that was just targeting a fucking graveyard, the map across, it's dead. It's gone. Sorry. And she can just keep doing this. She has the same attack speed as the regular firecracker. It could target your tower and give your tower chip damage. She's just in the right place. She's crazy and needs a nerf. Because anything your opponent throws at her, she's got the same health as a normal firecracker, mind you. But the ability is just too much. It's too much. I think if they made the radiuses, I think if they just had it so that the first rocket hits and makes the radius, that would be fine. That would be fine. But the fact that the little extra pellets make the radiuses too, It's too much. It's too much. It's just, it's unbalanced to shit, and I really think they need to, like, a lot of the evolutions are like Barbarian evolution is pretty decent. Firecracker one, it's in the category of evolutions that they really, really gotta nerf. Yeah, Fire Spirits used to be good. Just go to Fire Spirits. Fire Spirits used to be good, but then they got nerfed from Fire Spirits to Fire Spirit. And it's not good anymore. It's just, oh my god, a swarm's coming at me. Let me throw my fire and it's gone. And it's gone. Oh well. Oopsie daisy. Fisherman. S tier. Great control card. If you've got an opponent who's thrown something at your big building targeter, just drop a fisherman in the back and he'll yank that thing away, and you could retarget it with another building, another swarm. He's great. His charge up time is his only weakness, and the fact that he'll target like little things instead of the stuff with the most health is a big downside, and he's not really good other than for the pull. Like, if you pull something with him, he usually dies right after the first time. He's got some times where if you don't support him with another card, you can have him survive, but the pulling mechanic is just great. It is great for pulling stuff away. He's in my E-Giant deck because of that ability. Someone drops a P.E.K.K.A on my E-Giant to counter it. Yank. I will take that, and then it targets my King Tower, and I win. And I win the video game. He's just great. We love the fisherman around here. Builder. I don't even know what this thing is called because I've never used it or seen it. The flying machine. That's what it is. Who the fuck plays this card? Who plays this card? Do tell me. Do tell me who plays this card. It can fly, and it deals decent damage. That's it. Archers counter this thing. It's that bad. Archers. I'm basing that off nothing, but I'm pretty sure they could with the tower's help. It just sucks. No one's used this. Freeze. It's kind of... It's okay. It's okay. It's a longer stun. Very good if you've got something deadly on the tower and you've got the extra elixir. But it does take up a card slot, which could be used for, like, Fireball or anything else. It's, you know, not the best. Not the best, but it is a good card. It's okay. You know, it can be used. I'm throwing all the spawners probably in D because the Furnace got nerfed alongside the Fire Spirits, where the Furnace used to spawn 3 Fire Spirits. It now only spawns 1 at a time. And on death, I just realized my music was really loud. I'm sorry. It only spawns another one on death. So it's just, when it spawned 3, I might have moved it back up to C. But it wasn't that good even in C. It's a good, like, targeter, or, like, targeter swapper. Like, for an Electro Giant, you just swap him over, and he'll target the Furnace and get a little chip damage in. Because Fire Spirits will just jump on him and die, so they don't suffer the zap thing. But it's just not good. Same thing I'm going to say for the regular Giant. He's got his uses, but he's more like for early game Arena 1 players who need a big tanky unit. I've seen him. I've seen the Giant in like later arenas. I think I've come across a Giant deck once or twice, but he just does nothing, and he's kind of just there. He's there just because he was in Arena 1. He's not really meant to come up from the arenas and into the spotlight, but you can still use him. Giant Skeleton sucks. I have not used the Giant Skeleton since 2016 when the game came out. I think he was in the original few, but it might have been an update when he came out that I started using him. He targets units and doesn't even deal enough damage to them to, like, have a good reason to. The bomb damage, sure, maybe, but even the bomb damage just doesn't do all that much. It's just not that good. He's just not that good. For 6 elixir, too, he can get swarmed and he's just gone. Got nothing. Swarm went bye-bye. No more. No more Giant. Snowball. It's kind of mid. It's a good swarm clear, and it slows down bigger units, but, like, it's just kind of there. The slowdown's okay, like, on a tower as well, but at that point, if you really care about slowing down or stunning the tower, just take Zap or Freeze at that point, or even, like, Electro Giant if you need a win condition in your deck. But, like, with the Snowball, you just toss it, and it can swarm clear, and that's it. It's not that good. We're getting to all the Goblin cards now, and all of these are very different. Goblin Barrel, A tier. This is my mantra. This is my mantra whenever I play Clash Royale. Never ignore a Goblin Barrel. You might see goblins and think, oh, they can't deal that much damage. Up to 200. Up to 200 damage a stab can these little guys do. And they take... for 3 goblins, it takes 6 shots from your tower to kill them. All 3, I mean. It doesn't take 6 shots to kill 1. It takes 6 shots to kill all 3. And by that point, they will deal some... Oh, they will deal really good damage to your tower. You never ignore a Goblin Barrel. But with Miner or something else to distract a tower, you can chuck that thing, and bam. More damage, tower's gone. Very good card. I used to really hate it, because I would do the thing where I ignore it and not think anything of it, and in, like, the early arenas, there's not much you can do to counter it. You don't have Log yet. You don't have... I think you have Zap, actually. But you don't have, like... you don't have stuff that can counter it, so it's a bit annoying. But yeah, other than that, good card. Good card. Very good to have in your deck. Goblin Cage, on the other hand, it's a building retargeter. Sure, you can place it, and it acts as a building, and you can retarget a building targeter to it. But then the Goblin Brawler comes out, and it's like, that's it? That was it? He just like punches something a couple times. It's not even that good damage-wise, and then he dies. You play this for 4 elixir, by the way, for Goblin Cage, which is not the best. Not the best. It's just not that good. It's just not that good. Goblin Drill is another B tier. Oh wow, look at that. We've doubled the length of one. It's another B tier. I mean, it's one more than Goblin Barrel and basically does the same thing. I think it can generate more, but you can see it coming with like the digging under the ground. You can either assess it's like a Miner or a Goblin Drill. And even, I think they have distinct sound cues, so you can hear, like, the goblins giggling whenever it's a Goblin Drill. But even then, both of those cards have extremely similar counters. So just play a Miner counter, and usually you will kill a Goblin Drill. Unless it's, like, the Log or something. But usually when I'm playing against a Miner deck, I will just drop a big Swarm, which is enough to kill a Goblin Drill. Unless it pops up, like, on your Swarm, which I don't think you usually place a Swarm directly on top of a Miner, because then it won't be able to target it. It's just kind of there, you know? Like a lot of the cards in these tiers, they're just kind of there. They're in the game. They definitely exist. Goblin Gang. Goblin Gang is gonna go in B. It's 3 goblins, 3 spear goblins for 3 elixir, which is decent, but I mean, it's just a swarm, you know? And in terms of, like, it getting to the tower, there's less of them to kill. Like, I don't think a goblin gang can get to a tower in time. No, yes it can. Yes it can. Wait, I'm stupid. Yeah, it's going in A. It can get to a tower in time and deal some decent damage if it's if your opponent doesn't respond to it. But other than that, it's a good swarm card. It's a good swarm card that won't go down as easily as, like, a Skarmy, which we'll get to Skarmy. But that's just really all it's got going for it. Not a bad card by any means. It's a good card, but it's not good enough. Get in D tier. Get in D tier, Goblin Giant. 6 elixir for a giant that has 2 spear goblins on the back of it. Those spear goblins do nothing. I guarantee you not a single goblin giant has benefited from these spear goblins, and even then its regular attack isn't even as good as like a regular giant. It's just not good. It's just not good. I have nothing more to say about it. I'm just watching the stream, have no idea what I'm rambling about. The Clash Royale heads will know. It's okay, Bacon Master. When I stream Clash Royale, and if you play Clash Royale, you'll understand. In that same vein, I'm going to put Goblin Hut in D tier as well. It's not that good. It spawns little goblins. They throw spears. Their spawner, it dies. Boo-hoo, you know? There's not much to say. Goblins got a buff. If goblins were in their previous phase where they only spawned 3, I'd put them in C, but now that they spawn 4, it is actually a decent swarm card that can get to the tower unresponded. I think 3 goblins can't get to the tower unresponded, but 4 can and definitely deal more damage than 3. Like with the spear goblin, or with the goblin gang, when I say like they can get to the tower unresponded, they can get there and the spear goblins can do some work on the tower. These guys also can. They're also a good swarm alternative for the ground. They can't target air though, so there are better options. But they're pretty good. They're pretty good. You know, they're pretty good. Golden Knight, D tier. One of the champions that I just dislike. He's just a knight with this dash ability that sucks. You never really use it, and even when you do, it would just be against a swarm, which you can counter with something else that would do a much better job. Like, you could zap a Skarmy that he might try to dash through. The only reason you'd really use it is to get him to a tower. Even then, he's just not that good. He's just kind of here. He was just kind of here with the champions that came in the update, and he sure is a card. He sure is one. He also has the charge ability that other cards have, that some other cards have, but it's, who cares? Who cares, honestly? Who really cares? Golem. B tier. He's 8 elixir, really tanky, has a slow startup time, but can get to a tower and can deal some damage and provide cover for your other troops. With other troops is the key word, like provide cover for other troops. He's not very good on his own, and like where most cards can like stand on their own, like Bandit, E-Giant, Firecracker, E-Wiz, Bowler, he just doesn't do enough to stand on his own, which, but he's not a bad card. He's not a bad card. You pair him up with like a Night Witch, a flying troop that needs ground troops to be targeting something else while it's in the air, a swarm to go along with it, because then your opponent will have to drop a swarm to go against your swarm and the golem, which will explode and deal death damage. It's okay. It's an okay card. There have been some good decks in the past that have used it, but in its current state, is not that good. Graveyard. Graveyard, I'm dragging it to S tier. Drops a graveyard on your opponent and skeletons pop out spontaneously. Think a skeleton army, but you can slowly drop it right on your opponent's tower. This is great for many reasons. Because if your opponent's tower is distracted by, say, like your giant that's just gotten to it, then you can drop a graveyard to make it even more horrifying, because now there are skeletons, which deal a lot more damage a lot quicker. Well, they don't deal a lot more damage, but they do it a lot quicker. And it's been a staple. It's been a staple of, like, the entire meta for a long time. And it's just a dang good card. It is just a good card. You drop it on a tower, and if it goes unresponded, like, I think in the video, it even shows, like, if you don't respond to it and let your tower take care of it, your princess tower, it will just get destroyed. Gone. You cannot, just like with Goblin Barrel, you cannot leave a graveyard unresponded, which forces you to spend some elixir and react. you know, which is a thing you want to try to get your opponent to do if you're going to make a bigger push. You want your opponent to react to something so they have less elixir to deal with something else you might have. Guards, kind of mid. It's kind of mid. It drops 3 skeletons with like a little shield that deal decent damage. It's not all that. It's not all that, really. They're decent at, like, taking out some stuff, but if anything has, like, any kind of reaction, I think even Goblin Giant can, like, somewhat react on its own to the skeleton, or not to the skeleton, to the guards, and, like, kill at least 1 or 2 of them on its own before they even really do anything. I think like with archers, if there were more of them, I think it would be a good card. But it's just kind of mid. It's not like the worst thing in the world to have in your deck, but it just doesn't do all that much. Heal Spirit, he's going into B, like with Battle Healer. They're both kind of, the healing cards are just okay, but with how Clash Royale works, healing is always going to be something that they keep nerfed and keep bad because of the heal spell. You get anything healed up to max after it gets attacked by something, and you've just completely revitalized and saved like a big push. You heal a golem up to full after it like gets swarmed by some bats and take it out like to most of its health. You've just restored 8 elixir that is still going to be going on the field. Healing in Clash Royale is always going to be just okay or bad. And I think Heal Spirit is a much cheaper health option. Like, where Battle Healer is more continuous, Healing Spirit is like just a 1 elixir. You drop the thing and it goes and heals something if it can find something. Because it doesn't jump on troops. It jumps on something to attack and then heals around it, which can be really hard to play around. But if you play it right, it's not the hardest thing in the world. It's just okay. You can use it. It's gonna be bad, or it's gonna be okay, you know. It's not gonna be the best thing in the world. Hog Rider, that's going in A tier. I don't think this thing is like barely ever gotten nerfed. Could get to a tower, deal great damage, and it's very fast and can jump the river, so it doesn't need to go on the bridge in order to get to the tower. And you could boost it with all sorts of cards. It has tons of combos. If I were going to talk about how much Hog Rider has done in the meta since the game started, we would be here for so long. It's a good card. It'll always be a good card unless they nerf the shit out of it. Speaking of nerfing the shit out of it, I don't know if they nerfed the shit out of it, but I'm pretty sure they did nerf the shit out of Hunter. It's an okay card. You know, if you get it up close to something, it can deal a lot of damage. It's kind of bugged with the Electro Giant. You place it on the Electro Giant, and if it shoots it, it'll only get zapped once. So it's good. It's a good counter, but I think that's a bug. I'm not gonna lie. I think that is a bug it has, because all the pellets should count as like other objects that it shoots, so it should get targeted for each. I don't know. Maybe the bullets are like a cone that shoots outward that pulses, and that's why it is. I don't know. But yeah, he's pretty good. If he wasn't an epic, I'd maybe put him higher because he's hard to level up. But he is a good card. He's great for dealing with swarms. He's a bit slow to deal with them, but he can. And he's great for dealing with big tanky things that are like on your tower at 4. He's a 4 elixir card, which is kind of his big downside. But other than that, he's an okay card to have in your deck, you know? I wouldn't shame you. I think he's been nerfed a bit since I last played him, because I remember him dealing so much damage to like my tankier cards when he first came out. But other than that, he's a good card. Ice Golem. Ice Golem is a S tier, and let me explain. 2 mana, or not mana, I keep thinking of Hearthstone. 2 elixir, good health, building targeter, right? But that's not what you use him for. He is used primarily for unit redirection or troop redirection. You've got a Dark Prince charging your tower, place your Ice Golem right, and he'll just walk his ass all the way around back to your side of the arena. You got a Dark Goblin that's gonna shoot your tower. Boom. Ice Golem that'll walk right on up to the Dark Goblin and blow up in a death cloud of ice, freezing him and slowing him down. You've got, let me give you another example. You got a bunch of bats. Drop a Ice Golem and get a neutral elixir trade, kills the bats, and it makes them move away from anything else they're targeting. Spirits can't one-shot him. He is a good card. I don't personally use him, but I recognize where it is good. Like I can recognize his uses, and I recognize where he is good. I've had so many matches that I fumbled because I'll drop like my E-Barbs, and then someone will drop an Ice Golem, and the other E-Barb will just run on up to it. Elite Barb, by the way, is what I mean. This guy. Ice Golem is just a great unit redirection card, especially like with Bandit as well. He counters a lot of cards in that way, and I think he's balanced and pretty fair. Ice Spirit as well. Ice Spirit, I'm going to put an A. It's a little one elixir guy that runs up to something, jumps on it, and freezes it. Not like slows it down, completely freezes it, which is very good if you use it on a tower. You've got something attacking your tower, have an Ice Spirit run up and freeze it. Then the opponent has to respond in order to counter your push. Spending elixir, I've already explained this to you a couple times. It's just a great card for furthering a push if you've already got stuff on the tower. It can die, of course, but most times when I've played it, a tower can't kill it completely before it jumps on the tower. Sorry about the background sound, by the way. It's a very good card that can run, jump on a tower, freeze it, and it's much cheaper than Freeze, which is why Freeze is in B tier and Ice Spirit is in A tier, because it's only 1 elixir compared to the Freeze's 4. Basically, freeze effect on one target and is pretty good, you know? Ice Wizard, on the other hand, sucks. 3 elixir. He has spawn damage now, which is like, he has like a spawn damage radius, which is like, okay, you know, I don't really see the scenario where you're dropping the weaker wizard into a swarm to go up to a tower, because his main thing is freezing and slowing down things, which he doesn't do very well because his attack speed is abysmally slow. So slow. It's so slow that I'm thinking that that's an intentional design choice because he's called Ice Wizard, and that's his whole gimmick. He's just not that good. He can counter swarms. He can slow down tanks. Not before he gets fireballed, though. Fucking idiot. Stay in D tier. Inferno Dragon is a B tier. I had a Inferno Dragon deck with Rage, and he's pretty good. He is a Inferno Tower that is portable and in the air. A very good card. And if you get it locked onto a tower, I've said this for a lot of cards, but you got to deal with an Inferno Dragon once you lock it on. However, like with most Inferno cards, you've got to watch out for swarms, because you place a Inferno Dragon too far back, and a Skarmy distracts that thing for enough time to get your 4 elixir back. It's unfortunate. It's a very good card, and I think it could be used very well. I honestly might have put it in C tier if Rage didn't get its buff recently, where it deals damage when you drop it. I think that is a very good way to use this card. In fact, I could see myself playing an Inferno Dragon Rage again just because of that buff to Rage, but we'll get to Rage later. I think he's very good. And he's okay, you know? Good damage on towers. He's in the air. His main big thing is, like, he's fireballable. You can fireball him, and then your tower can take him out, and he can't deal as much damage. But he's okay, you know? Inferno Tower is going in here in the same vein. It's a building, and it's 1 elixir more, but it it does the same thing, dealing more damage over time. It does completely counter most bigger, tankier building retargeters. So actually, well, unlike most buildings that I would put in like lower tiers, this one can actually kill a bigger unit, like a Golem or an E-Giant, this one can actually kill it. The Inferno Dragon can do this too, though. That's why they're both kind of in the same tier. But Inferno Tower is good for retargeting the building targeters and killing them. It can kill them. You know, it's one of the few qualities that it has over other buildings that they don't have. Though, the 5 elixir cost is kind of a big drawback. Knight is just a good card. He's just a good card. That's all I gotta say about him. He's a bang good card, deals great damage, good mini tank, only 3 elixir. Okay, that's what was playing. He's only 3 elixir and he's just a dang good card. I don't have any complaints, really. I don't have any complaints. He's a good card. He's got many uses, especially like for countering the bigger, tankier stuff. Although he does get outclassed, I will say. But he's good. He's good nonetheless. Sorry, he's good nonetheless. You know, he's got good health, good damage, like I said, and he does get countered by swarms. But he's also ignorable by most people, which is where he gets dangerous, because if you ignore him and he gets to your tower, he does deal good amounts of damage per hit, which is where he gets dangerous. He smacks the shit out of something and, well, now your tower's gone. Bye-bye, you know? Good card. That's all I really gotta say. Do I even need to say it? Do I even need to... Okay, fine. Lava Hound is 7 elixir with a ton of health. That is probably the easiest countered card in the video game. Dark Goblin, Wizard, Witch, Archers even can counter this thing. It just sits there and takes damage. It's so abysmally slow, I'm pretty sure they had to create a new level of slowness for this thing specifically. And when it even gets to your building, where's the damage? Oh, was that just 100? Did I spend 7 elixir for this slow-ass thing to move its way on up over to the tower to deal 100 damage? Oh, and what's that? The lava pups lose the building targeting property, so they're so easily countered by literally anything else, they get distracted and then refuse to go after buildings? I think some of the problems I have with some of these cards is that Supercell wants to stick way too close to what they are in Clash of Clans. I remember watching a video about the Witch, and it was the same kind of point. Lava Hound works good in Clash of Clans because it is a big defensive troop that spawns littler troops when it dies. However, in Clash Royale, it's so abysmally slow, high cost, and just frankly, like, not that good that you just can't use the thing. I don't know why I slipped into an Irish accent there. Real. See, even Bacon Master gets in. He doesn't know what I'm talking about half the time here. Like, he's just too slow. Doesn't work. He needs either to be buffed or reworked, I would say. Maybe not being a legendary either, by the way. Like, what the fuck was up with that? Lightning. It's mid. It targets 3 things, deals a ton of damage, and it'll target in a radius. It will target what has the most hit points, so it'll avoid targeting like a skeleton in a witch's army if there's like 2 other bigger units next to her. But it's 6 elixir and wastes a card slot basically, because when are you gonna have a scenario where 3 big units are right next to each other and you need to kill or deal good damage to all 3 of them? I think Lightning would be better if it could strike the same unit twice, or the same unit up to 3 times. It might cost more because of that, sure, because you could counter like a Golem with that, with a bam, 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 taking out most of its health. But it would also make it usable. I would say like maybe let it do that, and then up it to 7, or hell, maybe keep it at 6. I don't fucking know. 6 elixir is like a lot. I mean, especially if we're going off Lava Hound, you want a 6 or 7 elixir card to do a lot. You'd want it to do good. But Lightning just isn't that good. It's not that good. It's not that good. That's all I gotta say. Most of my opinions with these will boil down to it's not that good, because the reasons they are not that good is a very short list. But that very short list makes them not good. And they aren't like a feasible downside. It's just not good. Lumberjack goes in A. He drops a rage spell when he dies and is also a very fast and high hit speed attacking card. Just a dang good card to lead a push with. You throw a Lumberjack and Balloon are two cards that are like very synonymous with each other, because you play a Lumberjack and then your opponent doesn't know what's coming because they're like, oh, they're gonna play a Giant. Wrong. Balloon right behind him. Your tower's gone. He's just really good. He's just really good. I mean, dropping a rage spell on death, and the thing was, his rage spell is the same as the regular rage card, meaning that when he drops the rage spell, it also damages stuff around him. So if he gets skeleton armied, gone. It might be a positive elixir trade, but your skeleton army ain't running off to go do anything else. They can sometimes, but still, I mean, he's just a great card to lead a push with, and the rage spell is absolutely nuts to have on your side. Right, who's next? Get the fucking D tier. This card is like the epitome of I can activate your king tower. Someone places a magic archer, drop a giant right in front of your king tower. Boom, your king tower is activated. He is just free king tower activation. He's not even that good at doing what he does, which is dealing with swarms or dealing with swarms through bigger targets. He's just not that good at it. He can't even do the thing he was like designed to do. And he just isn't, it's just not that great. Now, after I say this, I need to go get a music change. I need to go get a music change here real quick. So I'm gonna hide the page while I go find this music change, because now we're at the one. We're at the one guy that we're all here to talk about tonight. This is the reason I wanted to do this stream, and the reason why I want to do Clash Royale streams in the future, so that I could maybe so that I could maybe like bring awareness to just how bad this card is. Here, fuck it, we'll do this. Okay, we'll do this. All right, yeah, this works. This works. I think this works. All right, time. I just fucking F12'd. I F12'd like a fucking idiot. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wait, I think it'll actually reload everything if I close and reload. I keep forgetting. I was trying to hit F11, but I forgot Opera has that stupid fucking thing where you can panic button. It's like fucking like, oh, I got to I'm watching illicit things on my that's crazy. Anyways, write a winning essay. How about I don't write an essay ever? Ever. What if I never did that? What if I never wrote an essay ever again in my fucking life? Anyways, we're here for the main event. The main event, the one, the window. Okay, the window capture works now. The Mega Knight, who, after I've done my research, has been somewhat nerfed. But it's not enough. It's not enough. I need this fucking card turned to mush. I need him out of mid ladder so I can finally claw my way out and make it to mid top ladder. I'm on Arena 17, and the only reason why I can't get out is him. Too much health. Has spawn damage that hits like a meteor from Mars. He's got a base attack, which deals with swarms, by the way. Deals with swarms. And he's not a building targeter. He's not a building targeter, so he could just target whatever he wants. Any card that you play against this thing, unless it's in the air, he's killing it. 200 damage a hit with a decent attack speed and the swarm clearing. I actually have a proposition for you, Supercell. If you don't want to turn this card to mush and let me never see it again in ever, here's how I suggest you rework it. If you want to keep the high health, I'll give you two. I'll give you two. If you want to keep the high health, keep the spawn damage, get rid of the anti-swarm clear, make it that he has a strong attack that doesn't clear swarms. So he's akin to a P.E.K.K.A. or a giant. You could even have him continue to attack random units, and it would be okay. It would be alright. You know, you could have counters against him. That's another thing, by the way. There's only like a couple counters to this fucking thing I can think of. P.E.K.K.A., mini P.E.K.K.A., anything in the air, right? It's like Mega Minion doesn't even counter him. Minion Horde does. Minions don't. What else might counter him that's down here? Evolved bats, which you have to cycle bats out multiple times for. I don't know. What else counters him? I know Bandit counters him, but that's if you place her, like, uber correctly. Even E-Barbs don't counter this fucking thing. Maybe the evolved barbarians do, but you have to cycle them as well. The other way, I suggest we rework him, okay? Lower his health. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. Really, I mean it. I mean it. He has too much health. He has too much. Because he drops, and like an anti-swarm clear, just wipes the floor with anything you counter with him. But when you drop something bigger on him, like a mini P.E.K.K.A., half the time, if he's got a tower helping him, that can't kill him. Which is absurd. It is absurd for an anti-swarm clear, for an anti-swarm. Any other anti-swarm card, like what ones are on here? The Executioner, maybe not as much in terms of damage. He gets killed by a mini P.E.K.K.A. The Dark Prince can get killed by a mini P.E.K.K.A. The fucking the Skeleton Giant can get killed by a mini P.E.K.K.A. If it could fly, I'm pretty sure a mini P.E.K.K.A. could kill a Lava Hound. But no. Apparently, he's just a favorite fucking child over there in the fucking Supercell dev office. And they're like, nerf him? But he's just a mid-ladder menace. No. He is transcended from mid-ladder menace to mid-ladder gatekeeper. He is the test you have to get past to get to upper ladder, and even then, he's still waiting there. He's still in the top ladder, because we won't nerf him or rework him in any kind of way, because, there's counters. Yeah, okay, we added like 3 more. Are you happy? Are you happy now? Play a champion and counter him. Play the Mighty Miner. Oh yeah, I'm gonna waste my champion that I have right here. Play a Sparky, why don't you? You know, your win condition. Play your win condition to counter what should be a defensive option. Shame. Shame on you. Shame on you, Supercell. Turn him to mush. Squish him into a little 1 elixir knight, and I never want to see him again. I never want to see him again. The mid-ladder menace icon. The mid-ladder menace. This is who they mean when they talk about the mid-ladder menace. It's him. It is him. Even though he's 7 elixir, that is the only downside to this fucker. The only one. That's it. That's the only caveat. And you can build a deck around him as much as you like. Go fuck yourself, Mega Knight. So anyways, what was I saying? Right. Who's next in this? Who's next in this tier? Oh, the Mega Minion. The Mega Minion. I was just saying, yeah. He's okay. You know, we put him in B tier. You know, he's a good tank for the air, which is I think something that there isn't a lot of. There's not a lot of tanky air things. Like the Baby Dragon is like the only other air tank I can really think of. We don't count Lava Hound. He's okay. He's 3 elixir, so he's good to like play. You know, it's like an opener card, but he doesn't have much use outside of that. So actually, I think I'm gonna put him in C. He's okay, but he's just you know. Mighty Miner. This is one of those champions I haven't played much, but I've seen gameplay of. When you drop him, he acts like he's got the Inferno property, where the longer he attacks something, the more damage he deals, and his ability lets him swap lanes and drop a bomb for, I think, only 2 elixir. It might have been buffed or nerfed, but I think it's only 2 elixir. Pretty bang average card. It's got plenty of uses. Swapping lanes is definitely a big one. If your opponent plays a big counter for it in one lane, you can swap the lanes and then have that counter be denied. But, you know, the problem arises if your opponent has like 2 Mighty Miner counters and places another one in the other lane. So, you know, when played correctly, bang good card. Just a good card to have. You know, he's a good champion. I like him. Miner. He's like only good in graveyard decks. I'm not gonna lie. People keep going, oh, nerf Miner, nerf him. I don't see it. You know, I just don't see it. The tower distraction for free is okay, but I mean, there's so many cards that counter him, even cards that like aren't specific, and like they counter more things than just him. A goblins can counter a Miner before he even drops. And it's like in a graveyard deck, sure, you need something on the tower quick to distract it so you can drop the graveyard and force your opponent to react. But by that point, you spent 8 elixir and might not even have like 1 elixir to send a free spirit in. You know? I just don't see it. I don't see the benefit to using him other than in graveyard decks. We're gonna get one more card in before I have to jump up for a couple minutes. We've made decent progress. I think we might actually, yeah, I think we'll get through all of them. Before I go, Minion Horde. Minion Horde is going in A. 5 elixir for 5 minions is a lot better than you might think. It's an air troop, so it will attack the ground. It'll attack the ground, and it will attack stuff that it can't attack back, or that can't attack it back. They get cleared by ranged swarms, anti-swarms, I mean. So, like, a wizard or an executioner clears them out. But they're a very good swarm to have on your team. They won't be slowing down like a prince or anything, so there is that negative to them. And they also cost 5 elixir, so if you're playing aggressively, that's a big chunk. But they do deal very good damage. It's more than the bats. It's more than the bats, right? And they can't get one shot by an equal level tower. They take 2 shots from an equal level tower. So I think that makes them pretty good. I think that makes them pretty good in this scenario. You know, I think that makes them a pretty good card that deals good damage to ground troops and can also help clear out air troops. Like, I mean, sure, most air troops will attack back, but like a balloon, if a balloon comes at you, they're a great neutral response. They're a neutral elixir trade response, I mean, which basically is you play a card that costs the same amount to counter a card of the same amount. So 5 elixir versus 5 elixir. It's a pretty good card for that, you know? It's very good for that. Now, if you excuse me, I've got to go do that thing I do at nighttime. I will be back in either 2 or 20 minutes. Depends. I will see you in a bit. Ugh. Ugh. Hello. Sorry about that. Right. Where were we? We just discussed Minion Horde. I got a drink of water. I'm all set. Minions. Minions is weirdly worse than Minion Horde. While Minion Horde is 5 minions, the difference between Minion Horde and Minions is actually really weird. Because, like, 3 minions isn't enough to do, like, decent damage, right? While 5 is, 3 just is not. You know? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, they're just not good enough to do decent damage to anything. Like, comparatively, if you dropped a Minion Horde and minions on a Inferno Dragon, the Minion Horde would kill it. The minions would not. I don't think the minions would. I at least in what I've tested. You know? I just think there's, like, a sustainable difference. So, the regular minions are just kind of mid compared to the regular, or the Minion Horde. Mini P.E.K.K.A, you are going where you deserve to go in S. Great card. Good mini tank. Amazing damage. Good for countering any of those big guys that are giving you trouble and you don't want to just drop a swarm. Mini P.E.K.K.A can counter basically any tank, even if it fights back. Not even a P.E.K.K.A can one-shot the thing. It's a very good little card. I love him dearly. He's in my main deck. If you can't tell, a lot of the cards in my main deck are in the S tier. I'm not biased, I swear. They're actually good cards. But this card is, like, in almost every single, like, deck I could think of. Mini P.E.K.K.A is just a good card. Good for countering big things. And also good if you manage to get it to the tower. If you manage to get it to the tower, it can deal some really heavy damage. Low health, sure, for a mini tank, but still good nonetheless. It's a good card. It's a good card. Great card, even. Mirror. Oh, what a divisive little thing the mirror is. What it does is it will copy the last card you played and make it cost an elixir more, and also make it so that it's a level higher. It's okay. In the past, it used to be really good. Doubling an entire troop. The reason it's lower than Clone is Clone doesn't force you to spend more elixir to play a card again. All it does is clones your card for the elixir that it costs to use clone. Mirror is a bigger investment. And for higher cost cards, anything above like 4 elixir, you can't consistently mirror and have 2 on the battlefield. Like, sure, if you cycle out your Electro Giant, as long as you are okay with not playing any more cards until you get 8 elixir, you can mirror him. But for the higher cost cards, it's just not that good. For something smaller, like maybe a Skarmy or a little horde of goblins, that's fine, you know? But other than that, it's just alright. It's just alright. You know? It's not that great. Monk. Monk is one I haven't played much, but he's kind of mid. He's got a 3-hit combo that pushes stuff back, which is okay, and his ability is to block all projectiles, but it stops him in his tracks. And this can do things like reflect a fireball, reflect a rocket off of him, but also that comes at the cost of activating the King Tower, which isn't always a bad thing, but it can lead to some... You don't want to activate the King Tower. Shut up, I don't care about those updates. You don't want to activate the King Tower, and if you want to counter a spell, that's great, but there's also the fact that you activate the King Tower. Dealing the damage back to the King Tower is great, but normally you kill a tower or 2 before you want to damage the King Tower. If you play him, it's like... okay, well, maybe I shouldn't stop right there, because he also reflects projectiles from enemy units that shoot him, so like a firecracker or a magic archer or a hunter, he'll reflect those back too. That is really good. That is a very great ability. But it's just the fact that he can reflect spells and activate the King Tower that just kind of has him lower. Now that I think about it, he probably deserves B tier, not C tier. His ability his ability is really the only risk of reflecting a spell that deals damage to the King Tower and waking it up. That's the only real downside. Other than that, his ability's pretty good. You get a couple, You get like a bomber on him, or archers, or even like he can't reflect electro wizard. Or I think he can reflect bowler too. Reflect bowler, reflect goblin darts, reflect archer queen bolts. He's pretty good at doing that. He's more of a troop counter than he is a spell counter, like he was advertised, though. He's very divisive to me. The 3-hit combo also as well just isn't all that good, because he doesn't knock them back enough to where they can't, like, get a hit off on him when he's, like, charging it up again. And also, if you push a card back too far, he's not gonna, like... If you push a card back too far, like, your opponent can just drop a swarm around him. So, he's not the best. He's okay, you know? Mortar! It sucks. It's not that good. Most buildings fall into this. It can target your tower from across the map, sure, as long as you place it right on the bridge. Bad. And it can deal with swarms. Although that's not what you use it for. You use it for targeting the tower. Yeah, in its dead zone. It has a dead zone too, which just makes it awful and causes it so that it can't target things right next to it, like it can, like in Clash of Clans, where it can't target stuff in a little ring around it. It's not that good. It's 4 elixir as well, so it can't really just target a tower. And the thing with it is the dead zone. The dead zone is its biggest drawback. It's a thing nothing else in Clash of Clans has, or in Clash Royale has, and I think that's its biggest downside. It's just, it's a sad thing. And the evolution suffers the same problems. It spawns a goblin, sure, that's great, that's cool and all, but it still suffers all of the problems of the mortar. It's got the dead zone. It can only really target stuff. It can only really target the towers when it's in a position that, will get it easily targeted. And even though it drops goblins, you can get a goblin barrel to do that, and you don't have to cycle out. You wouldn't have to cycle a mortar multiple times in order to drop those goblins, you know? There's better ways to do what the evolution does. It's not that great. It's not that great. Mother Witch. A good card. Great card for dealing with swarms. You get a Skarmy, you drop a Mother Witch, suddenly the enemy's got a bunch of little mini Royal Hogs to deal with. Although, when it comes to doing anything else, she's not that great. She's a good anti-swarm, don't get me wrong. Distracts the swarm with something they can attack right away, but against anything stronger, it's not worth it. I mean, the curse is permanent, though, is the thing. If she hits something and doesn't kill it, she will curse it anyway, turning it into a hog. I think if she countered things like the golem turning into 2 golemites and instead having it turn into a hog when it dies, she'd be better. But she's just okay. She's a good card when you use her right. I played the challenge for her and got her during the challenge, which is a lot of fun. Like things like bats, minions, skeleton army, graveyard's she's a great counter for graveyard. But other than that, she's just okay. She basically turns anything she kills or hits into little hogs, which is a good thing. You can create a good counter push. But other than that, she's not got much use. There's not much to her, you know. Musketeer. Musketeer is also going in B tier. She's very basic. She's got a gun. It deals good damage. When you pair her up with a tanky unit, she can deal really good damage to a tower. That's about it. Very basic. One of the first cards. Straightforward, an okay card. a good card to have around. Night Witch. It sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Night Witch sucks. She used to be good in Golem Beatdown decks because her ability of summoning bats instead of skeletons was a good support for the Golem. But she summons so few and so far in between each other. I think her spawn time is like less than the Witch, like the regular Witch, who I think's like right here. Yeah, and she only has a melee attack, which is her biggest downside because you play the Witch to swarm counter. When a Witch comes out, it's to counter a swarm that you're going up against. But with a Night Witch, she's just got the melee attack and the summoning bats. She doesn't even summon any when she dies, which is just, she's just not that great, you know? She just sucks. Actually, I shouldn't even say not that great. She sucks. She's good when paired up with something else, but even then when she's paired up with something else, she's just gonna get herself killed because of the melee attack. I think if they did what they did to her in Clash Royale, or not Clash Royale, Clash of Clans. In Clash of Clans, she used to have the melee attack property, but then they had to swap her to having a ranged attack because the melee would just get her killed. I think they should do that to her in Clash Royale. Give her a ranged attack. Don't even make it like splash. Give her a ranged attack so she stays at a distance. Otherwise, she's just going to walk up with her staff, mosey on up to the enemy, the team, and she's gone. Four elixir? No, she's gone. She's gone. P.E.K.K.A. P.E.K.K.A. is another... I will put her in A tier. 7 elixir for a great tank that deals so much damage. She deals a great amount of damage when she attacks stuff. I think it's a she. I can't remember. I know the P.E.K.K.A. has a gender. I know she does. I'm pretty sure it's a she. So I'm gonna go with that from what I remember of my Clash of Clans lore. She deals great damage when on a tower. She's a great big tank counter. One of like the most played Mega Knight counters ever, other than Mini P.E.K.K.A. And I also think Mini P.E.K.K.A. is her son. That's all I'm gonna say. Right, I skipped these because I don't know what those are. I think it's like Party Hut and Party Rocket. I think you could get these cards like outside of the event and they were just like cosmetic. Who cares? Phoenix. It's not that good. Phoenix is basically a bird, right? It can target one thing, deals decent damage, and when it dies, spawns an egg. The only problem with that is the egg is very easily killable, and it will get killed. If you drop a magic archer on this thing, it will kill the egg. You drop even archers on this thing, it will kill the egg. The egg is just too vulnerable for it to, like, actually have any usage. If you distract stuff that might be targeting it, that's fine. It can respawn, but it can only respawn once. I think if you're going to make the egg so vulnerable, maybe not make it unlimited, but maybe make it so that the Phoenix can spawn multiple times. Maybe 3 times. If you're going to make it that vulnerable. But even then, if you did that, it wouldn't be that good. Even then. It's just kind of mid. Like I put in here, it's just kind of mid. Poison! Poison's going in B tier. Poison is a little range of effect that deals damage to troops over time. Very good counter for swarms. It has the same range as a graveyard, so you can completely counter it. Other than that, though, its tower damage is lacking, and some stuff doesn't even get fully killed by it. I think barbarians can actually survive a poison. Most mini tanks can survive a poison. You're just better off with fireball. Gets the job done, and it can... and it can knock back, you know? It gets the job done, you know, when you have it. A lot of these cards are, like, better in drafts. The draft game mode where you, like, draft random cards. But, like, mostly you'll want to be playing, like, these tiers of cards, you know what I mean? Prince! Prince is gonna be another A tier. It has a great charge ability that deals a ton of damage. Sorry about that. Deals a ton of damage. It's one of the, like, it's one of the cards of Clash Royale. You know this guy because you've seen him in the Clash Royale trailers. His charge ability is great for countering big tanks as well. His only real downside, other than being 5 elixir, is that he can be retargeted by troops. He's not a building targeter. But if you get him to the tower, he's going to hit him with that boom, you know, that kind of sound effect he makes, and he's going to deal good damage, regardless. He's great. He's a good mini tank. He's a good charge card like this brother. His brother, the Dark Prince, only really beats him because he can counter swarms by himself, even though he has less health. They're not interchangeable, though, is the thing. Where the Dark Prince can counter swarms and still deal decent damage on his own, he doesn't have the same higher damage that the single targeting Prince does. You understand what I mean? They're not interchangeable, but one is a little better than the other. You know what? No, that's hypocritical of me to say. They're not interchangeable. They're both just as equally as good as each other. S tier. Great card. Just one of the better ones. They even go well together. 9 elixir to play the both of them. Double Prince is a deck you see quite often. Both of them being played together to balance out each other, because the Dark Prince complements the actual Prince, countering the swarms that the Prince can't counter. Just a very good duo of cards. Princess. Oh boy. Princess's big thing is that she can target the tower without getting in its range. Is this good? I mean, yeah. She is also a big anti-swarm, and she can easily be cycled to be brought back onto the field very quickly. So you could, in theory, double her very quickly. The only problem with that is she's easily killable by the log and doesn't deal a lot of damage to the tower. I mean, obviously, you're not going to have the only card in the game that can't be targeted by the tower when it attacks the tower have enough health or deal enough damage to destroy your tower in like 3 hits. It's understandable, but she's just okay. She's a good supporting card for bigger cards when they attack the tower, but when she also attacks the tower, she leaves herself very open to be swarmed. One of the funniest things I love to do in this game is target an anti-swarm with a swarm while it's distracted, because it's such a power move that this card designed to get rid of swarms gets killed by a swarm. It's one of my favorite things. Call that shit swarm ops. I don't know. But yeah, she's easily counterable by many things. She's still a good card. I wouldn't say she's bad. She's okay, like I said. But she's just too counterable. And while, yeah, I mean, she deals good damage to the tower, doesn't really matter. It's not like consequential damage where it's gonna matter, like I said. So yeah, not the best. Rage. Rage would be in C tier. Due to its due to how it was before, but due to its buff, I'm actually going to put it in B tier. You can drop a Rage on a tower, and now it deals damage. It's got a smaller radius now because of that, but say you've got a Inferno Dragon that's about to hit a tower, and your opponent drops like a Skarmy or a Goblin Gang. You can now drop Rage onto them to kill them, and have your Inferno Dragon now become enraged when the Rage drops on the tower. On the tower. It's a very decent card for that. It's just that the Lumberjack is a much better delivery system, because he can attack the tower, and then when he dies, the Rage is dropped, so you can send in a card behind him. It's just a matter of delivery. Granted, the Rage spell is 2 elixir less than the Lumberjack and can't be retargeted, but I mean, when it comes to having a full troop on the field compared to a spell that's only supportive, it's kind of better to save your spell slot in your deck for something like a Zap or a Fireball, rather than losing out on one of those for a Rage, because usually you only want to have 2 spells a deck. Right? I mean, I've seen all spell decks before in like 7 times elixir that are really funny. They're not that good in regular play. Ram Rider, get in there. I'm sorry. Look, I was all for Ram Rider when she came out. She looked really cool, but her ability just doesn't pan out. It's not. She can't counter swarms. She can't really do all that much against tankier units. She could just slow them down, and her charge damage doesn't even do all that much. Sure, she throws stuff at the tower when she gets to it, but even then, it doesn't slow the tower down, nor can she, like, retarget once she's on the tower. She slows down some units, sure, but she's going to have to get past some of these units where they can hit her. A mini P.E.K.K.A, right? Say she hits a mini P.E.K.K.A with her bolas, and it slows it down a bit. Then the mini P.E.K.K.A can just smack her once, and then she's dead by the time she's at the tower. She's just not that good for 5 elixir. And I mean, I think I would just rather play the Hog Rider, you know? It's just, Hog Rider's just a better choice. It's faster. It doesn't have a charge time, by the way, because the Ram Rider, unlike the Hog Rider, has a charge. So she has to charge at something instead of just running up to it. Yeah, she's just not as reliable, and her extra ability doesn't make up for it. Rascals. I don't use them much, but they're B tier. They're basically meant to be a knight archer combo in one card, because that was like a big combo in earlier arenas, so they basically made it into one card for 5 elixir, because the knight is 3 elixir, the archers are 2, yeah, I think they're 2, and then they put them into one card. Having them two mix together like that makes them better. Like, think of it, we're mixing a D tier with an A tier, so we're dropping it to a B. You know, them mixed together is pretty decent. However, the archers can just get logged immediately, and I'm pretty sure the Rascal Boy has a bigger hitbox than the knight, which kind of is bad. But other than that, they're a very good little combo, and they're a decent response to a bigger unit, like a swarm, like as a swarm. You know, they're also good for making pushes with. But other than that, it's just a knight and 2 archers, basically. You're not really bringing out the cream of the crop here. It's just okay. Ding. Rocket. I know, it has the highest crown tower damage in the game. It's 6 elixir. You're telling me you want to spend 6 elixir for, like, 600 extra damage, which can be nuts, mind you. But I don't think I've ever seen someone with a rocket in their deck that doesn't use it for, like, the end of game, I'm trying to kill your tower. I've only ever seen it for, like, that. It can counter other bigger troops, sure, but not enough to where it makes it 6 elixir worth. It's like a closer card. It's like one of the few closer cards of the game. And this is a game where you don't usually have closer cards. You have win conditions, you have anti-swarms, you have spells. You don't have a closer card. It feels really out of place. It's not a card that you don't close matches with a card. You close matches by pushing your opponent. You know what I mean? It feels really out of place, and even then, 6 elixir could be a matter in those last few seconds of, like, life or death. If you've got a tower left, and maybe you want to try to get your opponent's other tower. If you want to try to get your opponent's other tower with the rocket, you shoot the rocket, but then you don't have the 6 elixir to counter a giant that's been beating on your tower that you've been ignoring. And now, that giant's about to kill your tower. Uh-oh! You don't have the 6 elixir to summon that skeleton army and that set of goblins that you want to drop to kill it quickly. It's a closer card. It's a closer card in a game that shouldn't have closer cards. By closer, I mean, like, a card to end the match, if that makes sense. Royal Delivery. It sucks. It sucks. I'm sorry. It's a very small spawn damage spell that you can't place. You can't place it on the enemy tower. You can't place it on the enemy tower, and it drops a Royal Recruit when it falls. Royal Recruits infamously not being good, which we're gonna get to them in a minute. It's bad. It's bad. It's not worth 3 elixir. by any means. If you could drop it on the enemy tower, it would be worth 3 elixir, but you can't. So, it's bad. That's all I gotta say. Royal Ghost. Royal Ghost is going in A tier. Goes invisible when it hasn't attacked anything for a while, and when it attacks, it's an anti-swarm. And it's only 3 elixir. It's got decent health, goes invisible, and can get to the tower undetected if it doesn't want to target anything else. It's something your opponent's gotta respond to, which is good. And even better about it, it doesn't stay visible if it's getting attacked. So if a tower is shooting it and it doesn't attack, it stays invisible, which is very good. Only downside is that, well, low health, as I said, and it can also get hit by spells while it's invisible. So it just kind of, it's a balanced card, but it's a good card. It's a good card, like I said. A good card, but I wouldn't say it's great. Royal Giant. Regular Royal Giant, I'm going to put in C tier. He's been nerfed to crap and doesn't deal as much damage as he used to. Also is easily counterable by swarms. Swarms or mini tanks that deal good amounts of damage. I think he only deals 200 now to a tower, and while he's ranged, he's not ranged enough so that a tower can't target him. He used to be very busted, and I'm not entirely sure why he was so uber busted. All the videos I watched just say, oh, he had a high usage rate when he came out, which, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, everybody's going to use a new card when it comes out, unless it's bad. You know, everybody's going to do that because it's going to be unbalanced and people can abuse the shit out of it. And nowadays, he's just not as good. And segueing into his evolution, it made him a little better. All the evolution does is that when he shoots out a little cone that damages enemies around him, meaning he can counter swarms that come up against him. So he eliminates one of his counters, but that poof of air can't target air troops. So like I said, he eliminated one of his counters. It still is surprisingly enough to make me bump him up a tier. Sure, you've got to play him in order to make him bumped up to his evolved form, but it's enough that he can eliminate one of his counters. I think he deals more damage in his evolution too, because he fires slower. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. I'm not quite sure. Evolutions are really weird because they make it so that a card is just better and they don't give it any downsides because it's an evolution. Duh. I think, honestly, that the fact that his evolution eliminates one of his counters of ground swarms is enough to bump him up a tier. Other than that, though, regular Royal Giants just kind of, eh. Royal Hogs. Need I say more? Low health. You only spawn 4 of them for 5 elixir, and they barely can make it to the tower before getting fireballed. I mean, womp womp. Womp womp. That's all I gotta say. Speaking of, also, womp womp. Womp womp. Any Royal Hogs or Royal Recruit enjoyers out there, I'm so sorry. They're not good cards. 7 elixir for 7 little recruits that deal 100 damage with each hit. Royal Recruits did get an evolution, wasn't enough to save the card. It's very bad. It's not good for even swarms. And if you have a bridge broken, you can't place them there. I think if you had it so that the bridge, that you could place them I'd say if you could place them while both bridges were broken, they would be a good card. Or not both bridges, both towers, because when you break a tower, it lets you place your units closer to the King Tower. I think if you could place them closer when both were broken, that would make it better. But even then, I don't think I would take it out of C tier. You know, I wouldn't take it out of C tier, because both Royal Hogs and Royal Recruits suffer the problem of being fireballable, costing way too much for what you get, and yeah, it's just not great. We'll get to his evolution later. Wow, okay, these are way down the line. Why are these way down the line? That's weird. Because this is alphabetical order, right? But The evolved knight is down here for some reason when we put the knight all the way up here. Whatever. That's a little weird. Skarmy, my favorite. I'm biased when I put them in S tier, okay? I'm biased when I put Skarmy in S tier, and I will say it. Skarmy has been a reliable swarm since the beginning. Summons, I think, 14, or is it 26? Is it 14 or 26? I cannot remember. I think it's 26. We'll go with 26. I think maybe the level I'm thinking of is 14. Summons a bunch of skeletons that'll very quickly decimate most swarms. Prince, P.E.K.K.A, Knight, Hog Rider, what else? Golem, what other tanky cards are there? Miner. They completely counter a set of barbs, a giant, a goblin brawler. Just a great card to drop on your opponent's big tank and kill it. Even better, you can get them on, if you can get them on a tower, they will decimate the thing. They'll swarm it. If it goes unresponded, it can get to the tower and deal massive damage. Absolutely massive damage. Skarmy, Skeleton Army, is just a great card. It's a great card for the whole family. Right. Skeleton Barrel, on the other hand, is gonna go in B. I have mixed history with this card. When it came out, I got it by sheer luck. I didn't do the challenge for it or anything. I just got it by sheer luck out of a silver, I think. A silver chest. And it was good back then. It had more health, so it could consistently get to a tower, and it could get to a tower and drop and explode and summon its skeletons. I think either skeletons themselves or the skeleton barrel got nerfed, though, because I think actually both happened. I think the skeleton barrel got nerfed to have less skeletons, and the skeletons got nerfed to deal less damage. So the skeleton barrel is just kind of, it's a card that I don't think is bad. It's a good card if your tower is distracted and you can send in something to help orient your push, because then your opponent has to respond to that. But in recent meta, it's just kind of fallen out, and it's not a card I could see myself using, or anyone really. I don't think I've come across anyone who plays against the skeleton barrel. I think the knockback and the and the splash damage was added later, but even then it didn't help. It's just been killed. Skeleton dragons, they're going in A tier. Much better than the singular baby dragon. The skeleton dragons have less health, but have two. It's two half baby dragons. They still have the anti-swarm properties, and I think they deal the same damage as a single baby dragon, but since there are two of them, it's more damage. It's just a direct upgrade from the baby dragon, really, and it's a common, so it's easier to level up if that's something you care about. It's just a better version of the baby dragon in more recent times. It's just outclassed the poor little guy. I'm so sorry, little guy. You found a home in Clash of Clans rather than Clash Royale. It's alright. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to move a little faster. Yeah, we'll skip all of these. Skeleton King. He's a B tier. His ability is to summon a group of skeletons depending on how many enemies he's killed or how many troops have died on the field. He's not the best. You know, he's not the most amazing champion, but because he's an anti-swarm and because of his ability to summon a ton of skeletons, he's a cheap graveyard if you get him to the tower. He's alright. You know? You could build a deck around him, is all I'm saying. Skeletons and their evolution. Skeletons on their own, C tier. Not that great. They can be used to redirect a tank, sure, for 1 elixir, but they're not worth it. Their evolution, on the other hand, A tier. Their evolution makes it so that whenever one of the evolved skeletons hits a target, it spawns a copy of itself. So, this is turning skeletons, the bad little card with 3 little skeletons that do nothing, to a 1 elixir skeleton army if you play it right. Sure, your opponent can respond with a zap and get rid of it, but they could do that to a skeleton army too. And evolutions aren't like a once per game thing, so you could continuously cycle your skeletons and get more of the evolved skeletons. It can seem busted, but it is easily counterable, it's balanced, and the only reason it's an A tier is because, like I said, easily counterable. These cards, not very easily counterable, arguably. But evolved skeletons are great. They're a great card, even though they don't really buff the skeletons themselves. It's so much better. I also like the little hat. Sparky. Sparky is devastating, but I'd really only put it in B tier. It has a really long charge up, where each of its rings will begin to glow, and then when they're done, the minute it targets anything, it shoots this big blast that deals a ton of damage and has splash. The splash is really good for swarms, but that's not really what you're playing Sparky for. Sparky's a win condition you want to get to the tower. However, its main weakness is that if anything stuns it, right? This is the only thing I would say Electro Dragon would be good for. If anything stuns it, it resets it. And with a lot of health, you kind of need to stun it a couple times. Which, sometimes you can't do without a zap. So, it's a bit iffy, I would say. It can be good if you build a deck around it, but a lot of times you aren't usually building your deck around a win condition. You're building it around a combo, or sometimes you're building it around a win condition. It can be good. But half the time usually gets killed before it gets to a tower because people will see the Sparky and go, uh-oh, that's the big scary thing that will deal a million damage when it gets to my tower. You want to deal with it. You want to get rid of it. It's understandable. And Spear Goblins going D. I don't even know why they're this low down. They just throw spears. They're not even good as an anti-swarm. Why is this card in the game? Just keep him in the Goblin gang, really. That's all I've got to say on it. Tesla. Tesla is going in A tier. Hides itself when it's not targeting anything, meaning if it's not targeting anything, it can't be earthquaked, which is good. That was what I was talking about earlier. And it deals really good damage when it's out. It's a very good 4 elixir counter to a lot of the building targeters, like Golem or Giant and whatnot. It's a very good counter against those guys. I think we might be running out of time, so I am gonna go over the more hotter topic ones that would actually matter. Cannoneer needs a buff. Sucks hot ass. Princess is going in S tier. Just a great tower troop in general. Cannoneer is too slow for the damage he deals, and Princess is just a mainstay. It's a classic. I really don't even see why you added an alternate tower troop. 3 Musketeers are going in B. They're the highest cost card in the game. 9 elixir, but just not all that. It's 3 Musketeers. I mean, they were nuts at one point. They do deal good damage if you can get them to a tower, but other than that, I mean, like, what are you really gonna do? It's just okay. It's a card that exists. Log. Log I would put in A tier. Has a long range, clear swarms, can knock back any card in the game that's a ground troop, and it's 2 elixir. Just a good card. Just a really good card to have, I got nothing else to say. Let's start going over evolutions now, I guess. Valk evolution. S tier. Let me get that bad boy up to S. Completely counters any building targeter without needing another building because she pulls it towards her. Counter swarms that might be coming at her with the longer range of the Tornado Axe. Just a great evolution to an already good card being the Valkyrie. That being said, I do need to rank her counterpart. Valkyrie is gonna be A tier. She's not as good as her evolution form, but she's a great anti-swarm that's been a mainstay for most of the game. And she's good at countering swarms. That's what she was made to do. I could do one more before I have to go. I don't really have any strong opinions on most of these, except for Little Prince. We'll go with Little Prince. He's going in A tier. He's a little fucker who gains more fire speed the longer he's on a target, and his ability is to summon a pretty decent tank to protect him that also clears swarms whenever he summons it. So if you want to skeleton swarm the guy, he's got a counter for that. It is 3 elixir, mind you, and I don't think the ability can recharge fast enough for him to summon it again. Like, unlike the Archer Queen, who is able to recharge her ability, I don't think he can do that in time. But other than that, very good card. Very good champion. I know he's a newer one, but a very good champion to add to the roster. I think I have time for one more. Expo. It's kind of mid. It's been nerfed to crap. It's a 6 elixir building that can target towers and deal a lot of damage really fast. But you have to place it on the bridge. Has the same problem as the mortar, except it is faster to deploy and it is faster to attack, which is all that really saves it from being in a lower tier. Not much to it, really. I mean, honestly, I don't think you all really care what I have to say about any of these. These are like all that's left here are like evolutions I don't really care all that much about, except for Ice Spirit, actually. No, hold on. Ice Spirit A. It jumps on an opponent and continuously makes them pulse out a freezing blast. Very good. And it's only 1 elixir. You just gotta cycle it twice. Very, very good to drop on like a big tank that you might have supporting units coming in from the back from. And then they're just frozen constantly. It's a very good evolution. Balanced? Maybe not, but it's unbalanced in a fun way. Looking at you, Mega Knight. Looking at you. We'll try to, I think we will, I know I've said like, oh wait, no, I've actually got a lot more time than I thought. I'll just cover, I'll try to get as much as possible, but we'll work backwards here. Archer Evolution sucks. It just gives her more range and piercing, I think. No, I don't even think it gives her piercing. Just more range. You're not really using archers anyway, so I mean, why bother? Why bother, really? I mean, you're not really using archers anyway. I don't think I've seen anyone with an Archer's Evolution deck ever. So, it's just not good. Same goes for Royal Recruit Evolution. You're not really using Royal Recruits anyway, and all this does in their evolution is when their shield breaks, they can charge, dealing, I think, like double damage, but their regular damage is already only like 100. So, okay. I mean, sure. It's not that great. Knight, on the other hand, is like the Knight evolution's like just a direct upgrade. Whenever he's moving, he gains this little shield, but when he's attacking, he loses this shield. I think it's a little niche, but I think it's very good for having him forward a push with his shield. It's just a direct upgrade to him, really, and I think that just deserves to be in the same tier as the Knight itself. Funny little music track change. It's just a direct upgrade. There's really not much to say on it. We're getting to the cards that I like don't have strong opinions about, really. Bat Evolution is kind of mid. No, it's okay. Basically, when the bats evolve, whenever they attack something, they get more max health. And I think they heal themselves well when they attack if they don't have max health. It's alright. Doesn't really save them from turning into basically minions with bat damage when they attack something. It's not the best. It's a direct upgrade, really. It deserves to be on the same tier. It's just, It doesn't up them a tier, really, with it being a direct upgrade. It just makes them the same, but with a little bit of a new twinge on it, if that makes sense. Right, now we're out of evolutions. Zap. Zap is going to A. I think this will be the last one I'm able to do. I don't really have any strong opinions on these other ones. I'm just going to put Tombstone down here because it's bad. I've said my piece on spawners. Zap. Quick spell, drop it on a swarm, it's gone. It can also stun troops, and it does deal decent damage, so you can zap a tower to finish a game if you need to. Very good little spell, and it's only 2 elixir. It is kind of competed by the log, but I think they're both interchangeable, really. So, because the knockback basically does the same thing as the stun, except the stun lets it change a target, which, I mean, is a very small difference, I would say, compared to the log damage-wise and speed-wise. It's a good card, though, nonetheless. Tornado! Tornado's kind of mid. Pulls stuff back, but really most units that you want to pull back are faster or giants. And giants will just walk on back, trust me, even if you swarm them, they'll just keep walking and your opponent will have something to counter it. And as well, it can't do anything against like those bigger things like pumps or expos or mortars or anything like that. And sure, it counters swarms, but at 3 elixir, you're just better off taking a zap, which does its job, but better, you know? Like, even a Hog Rider can outrun a Tornado, basically, so it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. I think that's going to be all the time I have. I can hear this is probably close to bedtime for my brothers. I really don't have a strong opinion on any of these 4. I'll probably upload the picture of this later. I don't really have... Okay, actually I do. Sparkies are they're in B. They stun. They're a little expensive and fragile, though. So, meh, you know? Alright, you know what? I'll speedrun these. Wizard and Witch is up 1. Wizard is very weak. He's fireballable. Deals decent damage, but he's 5 elixir as well, so meh, you know? Witch, though, she's got an anti-swarm, a little more health, so she's not fireballable, and summon skeletons. She's a great swarm maker for 5 elixir. She's a good investment. Although I think she's been nerfed to absolute poo-poo, and her damage on her little beam isn't as good anymore. It used to be enough to kill skeletons and deal decent damage to the tower, but now it's just kind of... It can still kill skeletons and deal with goblins, sure, but she used to be able to one-shot goblins. Now she can't. That's a pretty big difference. Finally, wall breakers. And they'll go in B. They run to the tower, and they blow up, dealing damage and killing stuff around them. Nah. They don't have the same design as the Clash of Clans ones, which is kind of sad. I really do like the Clash of Clans design, which isn't like a card mechanic criticism. That just makes me sad. They're 2 elixir, I think, and you get 2 of them. They're easily killable, and they have an evolution coming out soon, but they're easily killable. And it just makes them kind of meh. And the fact they're an epic, too. Hard to level up, you know? You can use them. Like I said, most cards in S through A are usable. But it's just... They're okay, you know? And with that, that's all the cards that matter. These cards aren't in the game anymore, or are from an event, which I didn't participate in. I think this is a good list. Honestly, a lot less cards in S tier than I thought there would be. A lot of cards in A and B, you know, which I kind of expected to happen. A lot of cards in Clash Royale are just good or okay, which is fine, of course. That's what you want. And honestly, a lot less cards in F, D, and C than I expected. I honestly thought I was going to put more into F, but really I only have... Oh, God. I really only feel that strongly about two cards, and that's the Firecracker Evolution and the Mega Knight. And we know what I have to say about the Mega Knight. Anyways, though, as I was saying, I think that's about all the time I have for tonight. I'll probably upload a picture of this onto twitter.com. You know how it is. And yeah, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Tune in an undetermined amount of time where I will actually stream Clash Royale and discuss genuine strategies, because believe it or not, I've been playing Clash Royale for over 7 years. Anyways, have a good night. I'm definitely very normal. I will see you all later.